Yo, 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 welcome back to the K4Wins. A Case Key from the Las Vegas Sun to my right, to your left, depending on how you're looking at the stage here. And of course, he's the chief editor out there, does fantastic work. He's our man out there, ground zero in Las Vegas. Kai Gregory below me has been playing both sides for nearly 4 decades. And know what he's talking about, particularly on team totals. He's really good. I'm Tony Kurre. I worked at ESPN, did sports radio for 20 years, some classic rock as well. Kip is going to be off today. He's got some other things going on with a previous engagement. So we'll make the three of us. And I'm unfortunate because we had some breaking news, Case, just about 20 minutes ago. The SEC and the Big Ten have decided to keep it to 12 teams. I thought this was interesting, and now some of the details are coming out. Tony Petitti evidently it was okay to go to 16, but after 3 seasons, wanted to go to 24. I don't know anyone that likes that idea. Greg Sankey doesn't like that idea, and so he would not would not sign off on that and said, okay, we're just going to keep it 12. The SEC and, of course, ESPN are in cahoots together along with the CFP. They have a deal for $7.8 billion through the 2031-2032 season. So this is not something that needed to happen right away. But yeah, 12 teams, we're going to keep it there. The one thing that everyone's kind of having a difficult time with is as long as Notre Dame's in the CFP top 12, they're a lock to get a spot every year they're in. Your initial thoughts on it keeping it at 12, where'd you think it would go?
Yeah, well, I guess I should. I wish I could have bet this and just not with no research, no nothing. Because I think you asked me a week ago what I thought, and I said it was a totally ignorant guess. I said I'm not really up on the subject. I just knew the Big Ten and SEC couldn't get along, so I leaned towards us going back to 12 for one more year, and it was nice to hit that one. I can handicap a game for an hour and feel like I have a good read on it and get killed, but that one I got lucky somehow. I'm fine with it. I think I'm like you. The 24 is a little too much for me. I don't love it. I think we all know that eventually this is going to 16, probably even next year. So I think the 12 was fine. I think that they mishandled some things this year, but that's just going to happen. The same thing's going to happen at 16. However, I think 16 is a sweeter spot. And I know people are up in arms about the Notre Dame provision, but I know it's hard to look that far ahead, and they lost to Northern Illinois 2 years ago, so anything's possible. Well, we went through their schedule last year, and I'm just going to make a bold prediction to say that them getting into the top 12 it's not going to matter. They're going to be just fine. They're going to be solidly in the playoff next year. I'd be really surprised if that tweak that everyone's upset about comes out of something controversial. I just think Notre Dame's really set up for success next year, both with their roster and their schedule.
Kai, actually from Tony Petitti, he came out this morning as well. He said, I'm okay with 12, only because the ACC and the SEC now going to this new 9-game league schedule for the first time. He said he really wants to know what the committee is going to do with the fact that we're moving to 9 games instead of the regular 8. I'm not sure exactly what he's thinking the CFP committee is going to do differently. What's your thoughts?
All that really does is take a cupcake, out of conference schedule. It hurts smaller schools because they're not going to get that money in that cupcake game. But in all reality, I don't see a problem with it. Going to 9 games, why not? They used to play years and years and years ago. Went to 7, now 8, so they're going to go to 9. Okay, big deal. In 20, everybody made a big deal. All they're playing is conference games and all that. Well, okay, yeah, but that was special. I don't see any reason for them to expand. Who would have gotten in besides Notre Dame that could have actually made any kind of run or had any kind of chance at winning a game in the college football playoff this
year? Yeah.
Well, I think since Kip's not here, I could give my true answer, or at least what people would say is I think Texas was pretty good by the end.
Yeah, I think Texas probably was pretty good, and we talked about this earlier too. Much like March Madness, I don't expect Greensboro, North Carolina, who gets in March Madness with a 12-18 record because they win their conference championship, to win March Madness, but I do expect them, because you're talking 5-on-5, to perhaps have a really great game against a team that's really good just has a bad game. And I think in football, if you can somehow get a 4-turnover or 3-turnover differential on one of these teams, you may see a James Madison once in a while. We've seen App State. We've seen this happen. We've seen the story before. We've seen Boise State knock off Oklahoma. We've seen Appalachian State knock off Michigan. We have seen these smaller teams, and if they can just win one game and knock out an Ohio State, we had a 10 seed make it in this year, guys. They played for a national title. I know it was Miami, but that's a 10 seed. If you told me, is a 10 seed ever going to win a national title, I'd say no. It's always going to be the top 4 and the rest of everyone else. Well, guess what? We came really close this year, right?
Well, yeah, but they also had to be a 10 seed just the way everything was made. They're probably. I mean, they're not ever going to be lower than a couple of the teams that are in there in
They
general.
weren't. They weren't top. They weren't top six.
I get it. I'm just saying that they're probably not a 10. They're probably, in all reality, with that group of those 12 teams, they should have been higher than a 10.
Yeah, maybe an eight. Maybe an eight. I mean, well, obviously you have James Madison and the other podunk that made it in it that obviously got the 11 and 12 spots. So there's no doubt. But I think maybe 9 or 10 was about where they should have been going into the season. Maybe a little higher. Obviously, they got better as time went along. So I did think it was interesting too. They threw out the number 14, which I love because it's Pete Rose's number. Then I was kind of like, how would 14 work? And again, I think what they're thinking, at least Tony, I never thought there was a sear-sucking, back-sucking, blood-sucking guy more money-wise than Greg Sankey, but I'm believing that Tony Petitti's that guy. This guy's like all in, like, let's see what we can do and just blow it up. I mean, he doesn't want to wait for anything. He's Audubon all the way, man. I'm just like, wow. And I don't know anybody that wants to see it go to 24 teams. I don't. I mean, I had a conversation yesterday for 45 minutes with Mark Ingram for the UAB Blazers. And now listen, the UAB Blazers are so far away from making a playoff. But listen, if it goes to 24, teams like that have a shot. Because if you go undefeated in your league and you start scheduling some of these cream puffs, and UAB is the cream puff right now, all you got to do is pull a James Madison, go undefeated, and you're going to get in because just look at the top 24 or the top 25. Every team would have gotten in with the exception of one. And I do think it's too much. And then it's turned into, basically an FCS. Here's the deal. We're only playing 11 or 12 games, period. 9 of those are conference games. And now you're wanting to add 5 more playoff games. I mean, half your it'd be like Major League Baseball playing 82 playoff games in a 162 game league. Half your games are going to be playoff games. Now, does that make for great football? Yeah, I guess. But hell, why don't we just go to 64 teams then and let them beat the shit out of each other? I don't know. It's exciting. I'm happy to see it. I'm glad it's beyond 4. It should be really interesting. But, again, and we talked about, of course, the national championship game on Tuesday a little bit. We got some NFL action to get into. Also, we're going to be asking Case. Case is our futures man. He is like lost in space. He is our futures man. He is our Star Trek guy, and he's really good at the futures, and he's really good at golf. And I know golf is going to be coming around real quick. And I don't stay on golf as much as I know you do. You're obviously in a part of the country where you can play golf 24 hours a day, 12 months out of the year. What's going on with the PGA and LIV situation? The last time I looked into it, they were getting together to create some partnership. Now I'm hearing that Rahm is leaving LIV to go back to the PGA, but he's got to sit out a year. Can you please explain how that works?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain. That was the case. It's like 3 years ago now. They announced they were going to have a merger and figure it out. But, honestly, nothing's really come of it. There goes they haven't figured it out yet. So there's been there's been no concrete evidence that they're ever actually going to merge. And, they're kind of competing entities right now. It's actually Brooks Koepka who came off of LIV this year, and PGA started this new returning players program that basically got him right in the field for this week at the American Express. And then some of the other guys, some of the other big names they have, Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau. I don't remember who else was asked, but I know those two were asked if they would be coming back. And they gave pretty tepid answers. Oh, I'm under contract now. We'll see. It's just a mess. I think everyone wants to see all these guys playing against each other week in and week out, but LIV made that impossible, and I don't know if it's going to go away anytime soon. It really doesn't seem like this merger is ever going to come through. And I think more notably for the future, LIV has kind of shifted to they can only get so many of these big name current guys, and they've kind of struck out the last couple off seasons. Maybe Rahm went last off season. They definitely struck out this off season, but what they have done is sign some of the real big college names, up and comers. I can't remember the name of the kid they signed this year. I think he dropped out of some SEC school to go play on Live immediately. They got Jose Ballister last year doing that. Eugenio Shikara a while ago, who they've ended up cutting. I think he was on the initial roster. So now the PGA is kind of faced with going head to head for them for kind of the next generation of stars, because these guys have to look at it was, well, I can go sign like a 7-figure deal with Live guaranteed right away, or I can go grind on the Corn Ferry Tour and hope to get my card. So I really get it. I really get it from those guys. It's kind of similar to like the NIL situation. They want to get paid right away, but yeah, so it looks like we're still going to be fractured right now with only those guys ever all getting together for the majors. But that's just who it is. PGA Tour does have a new commissioner. I'm not that deep in the weeds, so I don't know. A lot of people blame Jay Moynihan, the last commissioner, for not getting it done, and there was a lot of ill will towards him. We'll see if this new guy, who I think comes from it comes from one of the major leagues. I don't remember if it's baseball or NFL. We'll see if maybe he makes any progress. But yeah, it's just been in flux for a long time. But PGA Tour season is back up and running. I still think it's the premier product. It's just a little sad that some of the best guys are overplaying to crowds that no one cares about, because they took the big check.
With that being said, since we're already talking about it, do you have any futures that you've already put out? Or are you looking at some players for this upcoming season?
Well, it's tough right now as we're in the middle of the Desert Dubai and American Express right now. We're 2 rounds in. I don't usually do a whole lot of updated stuff, so I bet going into the tournament a bunch of guys. Scotty Scheffler's making his season debut in the American Express, and obviously he's by far the best player in the world. So strong that he was 3-1 to win this tournament, which is a lot of times a crapshoot. A lot of times really, really high-priced golfers win because the winning score is going to be like -30. It's just who's going to get hot with their putter and hit a lot of birdies. So I did bet several guys like the 100-1, but I sprinkled in 2 guys that I think were probably second and third best in the field below Scotty Scheffler. That's Ben Griffin and Robert McIntyre. I got both of them in like the 25 to 30 range, but they both had good first rounds. I think they both were 9 under, 1 off the lead. So if you're looking to get some action into the weekend, if you see them lurking around, I do like how it sets up for them. And as much as it's usually bad advice to bet against Scheffler at any moment, in a tournament like this, I think you just have to try to beat him, because there's so much randomness. The courses are so easy that someone's going to post a huge number, and you just got to kind of swallow hard and hope it's not Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah. Kai, did you have anything you wanted to add? Because I know you're into the sticks a little bit. You like to go out there and whack them on the weekends.
That could be, taken so crazily there, Johnny. But I look at Liv. If you want to think about it, I mean, hell, that taught all these kids how to do the NIL. Take the money and run. Because I mean, if you're a college kid, I mean, hell, if you're Phil Mickelson, $200 million guaranteed to go over there and play. You don't ever have to win. Why in the world would you not go? Versus like what Case was talking about, these guys that have to grind it out, hoping to get their card, looking for a sponsor every single weekend to pay their stuff to hope, and then they have to get what. I don't know how many wins they have to have or the qualifications, because it changes depending on the tour and what that tour happens to be named that specific year, or hell, in some cases, that specific month. Just seeing what happens. So I don't blame them, but I did love what the PGA did and the exception that they're making for guys to come back and doing that. I think it's great, but I also love what Phil said. He's like, no, I like being out here in shorts, riding in the cart. I'm old. I'm not going back to this. This is what I'm doing, allegedly. And some of those guys, so can't fault them at all. Golf week to week. I mean, everybody bets the majors, but something that I've noticed over the last 2 years, watching the starting lineup, when I haven't talked to Case before, is he hits his golf plays, his 12-1s, his 16-1s, his 24-1s that come in and hit. And it's not always to win. He'll have them top 3, top 5, top 10. Those things also, people don't realize what you can actually wager on in golf. And you can, if you like golf, it's a great thing to do and watch somebody, bet on somebody you love, or bet on somebody you don't know, but you heard somebody talk about. And it's another reason to get into a sport that you can watch 4 days during the week versus college football, 1 or 2 days.
Good stuff. K4Wins.com. K4Wins.com is our website. You can check out our blog. We got all kinds of articles on there. And of course, you can also check out Las Vegas Sun for everything that Case Keefer's into as well. Other news this morning, if you were on Fernando Mendoza's Instagram, you saw a nice little video this morning. He has declared for the NFL draft. And of course, undoubtedly, probably the #1 pick overall. Case, does that surprise you at all? The fact that he's jumping ship and the fact that he'll overall be the #1 guy for sure?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I saw a small segment of the Raiders fan base started panicking and oh, this is just like the Raiders. He's going to go back to school. There was no way. The decision was made long ago when they gave Josh Hoover all that money. I know that something similar played out at Oregon, but I think even when Raiola committed, he knew there was a chance that Moore was coming back. I think it was obvious Mendoza was leaving, and yeah, I think he's the certain number one pick and most likely to the Raiders. We'll see. I think there's still a small percent they trade out of there. I doubt it, but. You've seen some national guys around the league with ties say that Tom Brady is captivated with Lamar Jackson and respects him more than maybe you'd think because their two styles are different. If Lamar's on the block, that's the only way I see the Raiders not making the first pick. If they talk themselves into thinking they can be a contender right away again, as they've done so many times over the last 20 years, maybe they traded away for Lamar. But I think that the most likely scenario is here in a couple months. Fernando Mendoza will be about 2 miles down the street from where I am right now, being introduced as the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback.
And do you like that? Are you good with that?
Yeah,
I'm good with it. Yeah,
it'd be hard for me to say no just when I'm the guy that's been banging the table ever since they moved, or not ever since they moved here. I think people are a little hard on Derek Carr. He had some really good years actually, but as soon as they cut ties with him, they've had no quarterback, and they have not had shown any interest in developing a young quarterback. So I've been pounding the table. You just got to take your guy, take your lumps, and try to develop someone. Is Mendoza like the best can't miss prospect? I'm probably not as high on him as some other people. I don't think he's necessarily a great 1.1 pick, but the upside is I think it's a small chance that he's a complete bust. I just feel like he's going to be decent no matter what. So yeah, I feel like he has all the qualities, all the intangibles. He makes the throws. It's you can't ever call a guy like bust free. Not going to happen for sure. But I feel like his floor is like starter. I don't see how he's going to be a disaster. So for the Raiders, that's an upgrade.
Yeah, the guy who thought he was probably going number one, I wonder now where Dante Moore goes. Obviously for the Ducks guy, everyone thought that perhaps he was going to be the number one, at least the number one quarterback coming out. Now I'm not sure where he goes. What do you think?
Well, I mean, since he's staying in college. So, I mean, I think it's a great decision because nobody wants to go to the place where quarterbacks die more than the Raiders, because the Jets quarterbacks, good Lord. Well, just about anybody that plays for the Jets, any good player gets traded. The new Raiders coaching staff will have a lot to take in there. I love the Mendoza pick in that situation. If they could trade for Lamar Jackson, I think that's where Lamar Jackson goes to die because I just don't think he would be Lamar Jackson with the Raiders. I don't know, just because I can't see him in anything else but Baltimore. And we would have a halfway decent, allegedly, running back to run the RPO with there. Moore staying in college is great. I think it's great for Raiola because I think Dylan Raiola needs another year. He has got to get there. But it's funny because I saw some stuff on Facebook this morning, people talking about how Indiana was a flash in the pan. They're falling off. Everybody's graduating. They're going to suck. They're going to go back to being the worst team in college football next year. And I'm like, are you actually paying attention to what in the world is going on with Indiana and what they're doing and getting Hoover and arguably having the best coach in college football right now? They're not going anywhere. They're just not. But to answer your question, Moore staying in college was the best decision for him, and the Jets need to trade the number 2 pick and get a bunch of draft picks or get some a bunch of linemen because I don't care who you are, football games are still won and lost in the trenches.
Yeah, when little brother Mendoza ended up splitting, you had to know that Josh was going to be the real deal, and obviously he was going to be taking every single snap on there. 2 players that won a national title, won a Heisman Trophy, and ended up going number 1 in the draft. This will happen for Fernando. Who's the other 2 guys that did it?
Yeah, Cam Newton for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm going to kick myself with the other, but Cam came to mind straight away.
It's my boy from LSU.
Oh, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah. Joe Burrow did it back in 2020. And, of course, Cam, I can't believe
he's been somewhat successful, hasn't he?
What's that now?
He's been somewhat successful, Burrow.
Well, yeah, if he can stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, half the time he's great. The other half he's sitting on the damn bench with a
that's because his line sucks. Again, games won or lost in the trenches.
No, I'll give you that. At least he's not one of those guys that holds it. You talked about Carr. I mean, I think there was one point where he was going to either set a record for being sacked most times, and they were like, he's holding on to the ball too long. I was like, dude, he's holding on to the ball for 2 seconds. They're in his face. Like, as soon as he snaps the ball, it didn't matter whether he was in the shotgun or not. He didn't have time to throw the football. That just goes for your line. But you're right.
Hey, Tony, I will tell you this. I think it's huge. And yes, I'm a Tennessee fan. So, take that into account when I'm saying this as kind of a homer. I do think it is going to be very large for Indiana and for Tennessee that they lost their strength and conditioning coach and the people behind their science have now gone to Tennessee for what they've done, because they developed some kids that nobody knew on their offensive and defensive line, just point blank. They did, incredible coaching job. They put weight on every kid there. They increased speed of their linemen. Foot speed on linemen is something people don't think about. And those guys that they had that were 2 or 3 stars, let's say, they developed. They worked with them year in, year out. The dude, and I can't remember his name, and I should, came to Tennessee, and he left Miami at 8 o'clock in the morning the day after they won the national championship and flew straight to Tennessee and started working. Had a press conference and went to work, which amazed me, because I was like, if that's me, I'm taking a week and celebrating. I'll get to my next job later. I'm taking a vacation. I'm like, yes, I'll take your job, but hey, I'm going to go celebrate.
Yeah. NFL talk coming up here in a few minutes. Pats, Broncos, Rams, Seattle Seahawks. Which matchup are you most excited about? We'll get your thoughts coming up here in just a few minutes as we broadcast live on our YouTube channel on Tony Kurre Radio. Thanks to thousands of folks who tune in every Tuesday and Friday, 10 o'clock Central Time, right here with Case Kiefer, along with Kai Gregory, Tony Kurre. Kip is off today. He'll join us again coming up next week. Yeah, the interesting thing, we had a really interesting talk yesterday before we move on to the NFL, and I wanted to refute that, but unfortunately I didn't have really the numbers to do that. We were talking about how old Indiana was. We know they had 47 seniors, another 47 players that I think were redshirt at one point, had 6 years of eligibility, whatever. We know they were old, but then you guys brought up the fact that Miami's team was actually older than Indiana's, correct? And so everyone was talking about, oh, Indiana, they got 24-year-olds playing football, blah, blah. That's why they're winning. Well, obviously you play within the rules, you do what you want. But Kip and Legend and I had an interesting discussion yesterday that when you're looking at the transfer portal, that a lot more teams are going to be looking to get in, particularly now, since, of course, we got a couple of lawsuits where you got guys actually going to play pro and then coming back. And now it's in basketball. I don't know if that's going to happen in football. But are coaches actually looking for 22 and 23-year-old guys in the portal that have eligibility left? Is that why some of these teams are better, because they're older, or are they just better football players? Because Indiana did it with 0 5 stars. There's a reason why they have 0 5 stars, but yet everyone on their team seems like they're 24 years of age. What gives? Can you guys explain it to me?
I certainly think I didn't. I was the one that said the thing about Miami and kind of lashed out at the whole, oh, they're just older than everyone. They definitely were an old team. I'm sure if you got the whole nation, they'd be like in the top 10 or something. But it wasn't like a total extreme. Like Miami was older, and from what I understand, it's probably not going to continue unless rules change. It's just this was kind of the last group of guys that had the COVID season that could tack on even another extra year. I think almost all those guys are cycled out now, unless they got some special waiver to stay one more year. So, and I think it looked bad that people just, when you're watching these games, of course, you're going to talk about the skill players and the guys that have the ball. I think 2 of the guys that were 24 maybe or older. I think one of those 2 running backs, maybe Kalen Black, was really old, and I think Elijah Surratt was old. So it's just some of their key guys, not necessarily linemen or guys you don't notice that were really old. But yeah, from a roster perspective, like they were old, but they weren't, I saw people say like, oh, they're grown men playing against kids. BYU should win the national championship every year.
Yeah,
that happens.
Exactly.
Every year BYU has 25-year-olds for the last 30 years. So I don't know. I think it was a little overblown. I don't think teams will be as old as them and Miami in the future, but it was just kind of the very situation we were in.
Well, the argument sounded like these guys would rather have a 23-year-old 3-star on their front line than a 18-year-old 5-star. And I guess if you were given the opportunity to take one on him with 1 year of eligibility, I don't know. I 18 and 23, and of course we got to Legends like, do you remember what you were like when you were 18, and then what you were like when you were 23? And I said, yeah, I realized what I like at 59. I said, I haven't changed a damn bit ever since. I don't really. I know that car insurance goes down big time at the age of 25, so I know at the age of 25, men particularly grow up. Yes, I was a lot different when I was 18 and 23, but body-wise, now if I was playing football my entire life since Pee-wee, I don't know if I would have that big of an advantage over a 23-year-old three-star if I'm a five-star guy coming out at 18. I don't know. But
it's such your biggest history, too. How many, at the beginning of the year before this happened, I'd give you the rosters and ages of everyone. How many teams has the average football fan taken the roster? Indiana would be like probably not in the – no one's taking
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, but it's a huge advantage, in my opinion, to have a 23-year-old over an 18-year-old in just about anything. There's 18-year-olds that are not still in puberty, but
I'm just thinking. I'm laughing. Yeah. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about your business. Because in your business, absolutely. Go ahead.
Not as a 54-year-old married person, but when I was younger, I'd have much rather had the 18-year-old than the 23-year-old just because she couldn't follow me in a bar. That'd be awesome.
That would. Well, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, there was. Although
as I'm wearing my shirt for my 18-year-old daughter.
But if you're old enough, like I was, you were grandfathered in. So I was grandfathered in when it changed to 21.
Grandfathered in, all right.
Well, when I went, yeah, it was great. People were like, "Wait a minute, you were drinking when you were 18?" I'm like, "Yeah." When the rules changed, they're not going to give me a beer and take it back from me. I mean, it's like I was fortunate enough that to happen. But that's when
I got to throw this in, Tony, because I'm just going to tell you the literal best line ever in 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen is when Charlie's sitting at the bar, and everybody, this will be great for people if you haven't seen this episode. Go search it and find it out. Charlie's sitting at the bar. He turns and talks to this young girl, and he's like, "How are you doing tonight?" She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have daddy issues, sir." It's just the greatest, absolute greatest line ever in that.
There you have it. All right, let's talk about some Pro Bowl. We have the Pats Broncos. The Pats minus 4.5 on the road against the Broncos at home, and of course we know the Knicks is out, and then the Rams. At the Seahawks, Seahawks minus 2.5, 42.5, and 46.5 respectively in both those games for Super Bowl 60. So I asked you this question right before the national championship game in college. Are you hearing any inklings from any of your big dogs? Will there be any large amounts of money swaying on one side or the other this weekend before kickoff? Both those games on Sunday, by the way.
Yeah, it's interesting. The limits are so high now right away in the playoffs. You can pretty much get a big bet down right away. It does seem like the Broncos have taken the most money so far. We talked about it on Tuesday. I leaned both underdogs, and hopefully if you were with me, hopefully you bet it then because both prices have come down a little bit. There were still 5.5s available on Denver. Then now we're as low as 4, mostly 4.5. It's still a little bit of 5, and then the Rams. I think just in the last, since I went to sleep and woke up, at least in Vegas, there were 2 places that still had 3. They've been bought up now. Now it's 2.5 across the board. I think there's probably going to be two-way action on that one from talking to people and hearing some thoughts, people that bet a lot of money. I've just heard really split opinions on that game. So I think there's probably going to be some push and pull on that one. But so far, I talked about how odd I found how high the opener was for the Broncos Patriots game on Tuesday, and it seems like a lot of people agree with me. At least people shaping the market, making the big bets. It seems like it's been one-way traffic towards the Broncos, and honestly, I don't know for sure. It's always hard to say. The Patriots have taken money. I think at least last week they did, but I feel like as we get closer to kickoff, I wouldn't be surprised if it went down a little bit more, and the Broncos just took a little bit more money. I don't see a touchdown adjustment from Bo Nix to Jarrett Stidham. I totally think he's worth, 3.5, 4.5 points, but we're still a little higher than that. So I would not be shocked if this closed 3.5 or 3. So I think the Broncos right now are the quote unquote sharp side, but it a little bit scares me because literally everyone I've heard or talked to agrees, and we know how that usually goes. But it's pretty smart people, so we'll see. But I think to answer your question, the Broncos would have to stand out as that side so far.
Kai, man, it's so good, so fun to play the book side. Several times I've had guys, call me and they're like, "Hey, I'm up against my limit. Will you put a couple bets in for me?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then I'll end up taking their bets myself. And it's just great because normally you think to yourself, "Well, I'm going to have the advantage if I get to pick No, you're not. So the last couple of weeks, Legend, of course, gave me a big $50 bill this past week because he lost his ass, and I was loving that because I know that hurts. And $50 hurts everyone. So I said, "You want it back? You can take it back." And he goes, "Well, who do you like?" I said, "No, you tell me who you like." And so we were talking about. We get down to the Seattle Rams game, and I said, "Well, that Seattle -2.5 surely looks good because I mean, that 2.5. I had the 2.5 this past week, and he's like, that's the reason why it's 2.5. It's probably not going to hit 3. Da, da, da. I said, yeah, Stafford's having a great year. He's an MVP, but I probably so I ended up taking Seattle. He actually was going to give me 3, and I said, no, I'm not going to take 3. I'll take the 2.5. That's like we're supposed to. But what's your thoughts on me getting Rams +2.5 against Seattle this weekend?
I think in the New England game, the books are going to need New England. I really do. I think when it comes down to it, I think the public's going to bet the hell out of Denver. I don't know. I could be wrong. They may, the public is generally stupid. The public generally loses, just point blank. And I'm part of the public. So anybody listening, don't get me wrong. I'm part of the public as well. When I bet stupid. Okay, it's just part of it. I mean, it's hard to look at that game knowing that Stidham has not thrown a pass in an NFL game in 750 days.
I know, right?
Years, and thinking he's going to come in. Also, at the same time, anybody that thinks he hadn't been throwing 300 passes a day in practice, staying ready, is crazy. He's still preparing. When you're second string, you've got to prepare because all it takes is one hit or somebody falling or whatever. But that Rams-Seattle game, man, so you've got the 2 MVP candidates playing to try to get to each other in the Super Bowl. And it pains me. The Rams blew the lead in Seattle. What was that? About a month ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. So I don't know. It is hard for me to bet against the Rams, but Seattle's defense has been playing so well at home, and it's going to be 150 decibels, whatever it's going to be with the 12th man there. I kind of like that. It's one of those games that I'm still looking at. Still wondering if I had to play it right now, put a gun to my head, even though the line's coming down, I would play the over 46.5. Saw it at 48 earlier. I did take Denver, but I got them +6 Sunday.
Wow, that's a nut. That's a nut.
If that line gets down to 3 and I can buy it down to 2.5, I might be tempted to try a 3.5 point middle and take New England -2.5 in that game. I don't like to buy and do that.
Yeah, but I'll say you don't think it's going to happen that way because the public's going to be all over New England anyway, right?
I like Denver at home. I really do. But they've been playing so well. The defense is there. I think Mike Vrabel is a great coach. I hate the Patriots. I've always hated the Patriots because I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm a Titans fan. And, I was a Peyton Manning fan. So I hated the Patriots and Tom Brady and all that, clearly. But I love Mike Vrabel, and I would love, as much as it pains me for my beloved Titans, I would love to see Vrabel win the Super Bowl just to stick it in the dumbass management and ownership of the Titans' ear.
I would kind of agree with you, and I've gotten a chance to meet Mike, and of course he played with my old radio partner Al Greco for 15 years, and they're best buddies, and he's just a hell of a nice guy. I'm looking at Jarrett Stidham just to look at the stats. In 2019, he was 2 of 4 for the year. He was 2 of 4 for 14 yards. In 2020, he was 22 of 44 for the entire year. In 2022, he was 53 of 83, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. In 2023, he was 40 of 66. And in 2024, he played in 3 games, but had 0 pass attempts. In 2025, he played in 1 game, 0 pass attempts. And for his career, he's got 8 touchdowns and 8 picks. And he's playing for a Super Bowl spot. I mean, that's just. Is there any chance the fact that he's been in the league for 6 years? Is there any chance the lights will be too bright for Jarrett Stidham? I mean, the lights were never too bright down in Auburn for him. I'll tell you that much. They weren't down there celebrating like they will be. But is there any chance he comes in and he's just a little freaked out?
I don't think so. Just also he's also at 6 yards per pass attempt though overall that you came up with, which is the exact same Bo Nix is at. Again, I might be biased because I know him a little bit. He was with the Raiders for that year. I think that if you're looking for optimism, that 2022 year, the first start he made against the 49ers, who were maybe the best team in the NFL at that point. I think they won like They won a bunch of games at the end of the year. Their defense was top 5 kind of unanimously. I mean, he tore them apart. He had like 360 passing yards. The Raiders, who were terrible, took them to overtime somehow. And he didn't sustain that the next week. The Raiders were kind of checked out in week 18 against or I don't remember if it was 18 or 17 back then, against the Chiefs. But he showed some flashes with the Raiders. And I mean, I saw him practice a lot. He never like blew me away thinking like, oh, this guy should be a starter. But from all that I saw him, I would say that he's an above average backup in the NFL. I don't think there's 15 backups I would take over him. I know that's kind of faint praise. I also thought it was kind of funny when this week Sean Payton's defense of him, which I mean, he's trying to be nice. I don't know if it comes off that way. He says he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. He could be starting. All right, well, he'd be the worst starter in the league potentially. But,
Yeah.
I don't. He seems very calm. And the Raiders loved him. They wanted to keep him, and but the writing was on the wall. I'm trying to remember what year. The Raiders have been through so many quarterbacks. I might have been the Jimmy Garoppolo year, or I don't know. The writing was on the wall. They were bringing in somebody else, and despite him looking really good at the end of the year, and even getting guys like Devontae Adams and Max Crosby to say he should have a shot the next year, they weren't going to do that. So he basically jumped to the Broncos, I think, for the same amount of money. So I don't know. I think he's if he sucks, I think he's just going to suck. I don't think it's because he's going to be overwhelmed by the moment.
Well, and he does have a Hall of Fame head coach.
Hey, Sean Payton was 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater at New Orleans as his backup quarterback. And
God Almighty,
really.
That's a great point. You pulled that out of your ass, because Teddy Bridgewater, it's like, wow. And I that may have been because Teddy Bridgewater was just such a weird, strange Lamar Jackson / Predator type of football player, and is super skinny out of Louisville. Just was weird to watch play. I don't know how else to put it. I do wonder, and you brought up a great point. Jerry's been throwing the football 300 to 500 times a day, and he's been doing that now all week. And I know he didn't realize this 3 weeks ago, and obviously he's going to be taking the majority of the snaps, obviously all the snaps in practice. But I do wonder how Sean is going to approach this game with him at quarterback, and if they're just going to keep the playbook the same, or whether they're going to actually, because he does rush, he can run the football. I mean, he's got rushing stats, so it'd be interesting to see what happens. But as an Auburn fan, a local guy, I hope he does well, and we'll see what happens in the game. With that being said, Pats Broncos, give me a winner, both of you, real quick.
Go ahead, Case.
I mean, again, I think the Patriots are probably more likely, but I think it's basically I think it's closer than the line implies, so I could only bet the Broncos. I have Broncos future, so I'm really hoping they can get it done. But if I'm making my honest prediction of who's going to win, I think the Patriots are a little more likely. So I'll go Patriots, unfortunately.
And then the Rams and the Seahawks, Case.
I'm going to go Rams. I just it's a great game. I think this is feels like the Super Bowl almost. The two best teams in the league all year. But if you just go through their two games, I mean, the Rams were just ever so slightly better. And the first game, they were a 3.5 point favorite. The last game in Seattle, they were a 1 point underdog. I know that's only a slight jump to 2.5, but it's still a jump. I don't know where those extra points are coming from. They're healthier now. They have Devontae Adams back. I think one of their safeties, whose name I'm blanking on now, maybe Rivers, or I can't remember who. But either way, they're a little healthier than they were the last time they played them. I think if you're making the Seattle case, I get it. Kai kind of alluded to it. You can't say Seattle's definitely been sharper the last month or so. So if you're a little bit more on recency, you could be with Seattle. But I just think the year of the whole, the Rams have been a little bit better team. So I'm rooting for Seahawks Broncos because I have futures that way, a Seahawks Broncos matchup. But I honestly, in my gut, kind of feel like it's going to be Rams Patriots.
Is there any reason to believe the Seattle is not for real? I mean, it sounds ridiculous because we're 15, 16, 17 games into the year. But I still got friends of mine saying, I cannot believe Seattle. Of course, these are the same guys that bet against Indiana on Monday night. But they're just like, this doesn't seem right to have the Seattle Seahawks playing for a Super Bowl. They do not want to see Seattle in a Super Bowl. And so I think it'd be kind of fun to see a little difference. But and they've been so consistent throughout the entire year. They lead the league in almost everything. And you mentioned the Rams. Matthew is going to be turning 38 in a couple of weeks on February 7th. That's pretty impressive, man. I mean, you talk about Tom Brady all you want, but the fact a guy could win a Super Bowl at the age of 38 that's incredible.
Well, your buddies that bet on Miami Monday night won money. I mean,
because of the flinch, because of the stinking flinch. Because of Clark and the stinking flinch, that stupid 5-yard, and I think that was the first flinch he's had all year. What even a penalty? They're creating a new thing called the flinch, and it's going to be like a 3-yard penalty, not instead of a 5-yard penalty because it was a flinch. I mean, it's like, come on.
So what you're telling us without saying it is you bet on Indiana, right?
Yeah. Well,
Indiana did get a gift punt block touchdown.
They did. It all averaged out. Actually, I didn't have any action on the game at all, but I was pulling. I knew I just don't like Miami, and I if I don't have action on a game, I love to see backdoor covers or front door, because I know there's a lot of people that are crying their asses off, and I think it's funny because if you get the money to spend to bet on the football games, then so be it. It's fun, and that's part of the allure. That's part of the whole thing. So yeah. All right, we have a little time here left. What else would you guys like to get into? I know we have not talked about college hoops. It is time for us, and certainly we're talking NFL here all the way up into Super Bowl 60. But man, it's time for us to dive in to some college hoops. We got March Madness right around the corner, and we're 15, 16, 17, 18 games into the season. And our man who knows both of you know a lot about college hoops. But I do want to start with Case real quick. When do you, obviously you're betting all things as they appear, but how does your betting prowess go up when things start to fall off the schedule? In other words, we don't have a college football to watch anymore. Will you pick it up a little bit on college hoops?
I probably should, but not really. I just kind of keep it the same. It's just a little bit more time to breathe when, at the end of the year, like November or October, when all these things are happening. I'm just trying my best to keep up with all of them. But I've still been, I've taken a few breaks in the last few weeks, just getting a little burnt out and so much. But I still am every day trying to line a handful of college basketball games and bet a handful of games. It's a little bit tough on these Saturdays where there's 130, so I'm not looking at like every single game like college football, but I'm doing my best to keep up. Still betting every day. Still trying to have a good hold on what's going on in everything, despite what else might be going on.
All right, Kai, man. I'm sitting here looking at the top 25 right now, and of course, it's difficult to get. Alabama's sitting there number 17. It's difficult to get into college hoops when the only team I really care about, my Xavier Musketeers, are not having the greatest season ever. I'm hoping it's one of those situations. And by the way, real quick, before I forget, we had an email, info@TonyKurreRadio.net, info@TonyKurreRadio.net. And I got this email 3 different times from the same person. They wanted to know, will Dabo Swinney be the head coach at Clemson after 2026?
I mean, my opinion is unless he doesn't want to be.
I mean, they're not even in the preseason top 25. I know it's way too early, but I mean, obviously, if you're looking at numbers and looking at what's coming back, and he's got to go buy some players, and I don't know if Clemson has the money to do that.
No,
I don't know what the collectible situation is, but if he's going to go into the season like he did this past year, and obviously he's losing his quarterback, which a lot of people say is a good thing. It's just it's weird not seeing Clemson in the top 25. Period.
You threw me off because I was getting ready to talk to Case about some of these top 25 games and 3 hockey games that I love tonight.
No, I just wanted to throw that out because we were and I knew I'd forget about it because I'm old. Okay, now get into your stuff because I know you're all over it. Go for it.
All right. Well, there's a game starting here in a few minutes. Florida Gulf Coast and Liberty -6 and a 156. I like Liberty and over. There's some early games today. 2 top 25 games today. Ohio State at Michigan and Utah State at Colorado State. Utah State people are like, oh, who's that? They're a 4-point favorite. But tomorrow, we are loaded up top 25 games, including the controversial Tennessee-Alabama game where Alabama's bringing in a 37-year-old former pro basketball player to play. And did anybody see Todd Golden from Florida? Good Lord. Stephen Pearl had a comment, but Golden came out and said, hey, if he plays, we're still going to beat him. I mean, he's just like, good Lord. I was like, wow, okay there, buddy. But, tomorrow you've got, good grief, Wake Forest at Duke, Nebraska, Minnesota, Maryland, Michigan State. Top 25 matchup, North Carolina, Virginia, Vandy at Mississippi State, Clemson, Georgia Tech.
Clemson's playing great this year. Clemson, they didn't look good this past weekend. They lost this past weekend, but yeah, I think they were 16-3.
A top 25 matchup that I love. The home team -2, Illinois at Purdue. There you go, Purdue -2. Kind of liking that. You've got Auburn at Florida. That it's strange to not hear anybody talk about it. Did Bruce just know Auburn was going to suck and put his totally screwed his son over, or what? Tennessee, Alabama, Kansas State tomorrow, LSU, Arkansas, then just your SEC, Ole Miss, Kentucky, South Carolina, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Missouri. Got a lot of great college basketball games. Probably have 10 plays up in the top 25 tomorrow, which I hate doing, but still. And then tonight, get Casey's opinion, throw him under the bus here if he wasn't prepared for the NBA and hockey. Really liking Detroit -3 over Houston. And hockey, me personally, Vegas at Toronto. I like Toronto even money at home against Vegas on a back-to-back. St. Louis, Dallas. It's a little juicy for Dallas at -60, but still. And then Washington, Calgary. I don't like the way Washington's been playing on the road. Lost 4 in a row. Calgary, even though they're not great at home, kind of liking that.
Yeah, I bet some Calgary plus 130 tonight, even though, God, they're terrible, so it's hard to say. But I agree with a lot of what you threw a lot at me, so I'll do my best to keep up. But I agree with a lot. We said the Toronto game tonight is very interesting. I bet Toronto plus 106 last night. Apparently, that was a bad bet because I think in the course of the show, just an avalanche of money has come in on the Golden Knights. Probably means that they just traded for Rasmus Anderson, Flames defenseman, who now they got another really good defenseman. So they have like 3 top tier defensemen. He hasn't been playing. Whenever these guys that live in Canada get traded to a U.S. team now, it's like they have to sit out for like a week and a half because the visa issues and everything going on. So he has not debuted yet, but that's torrent of money that came in on Vegas now.
Hey, are you saying that ICE would come on the ice and get them?
I guess there's just some kind of I don't know, not us, another media outlet in town. I read a story about them. There's just a big backup with anything related to immigration right now. So another team went through this. I think the Flyers traded for someone. Like if they've only lived in Canada and not America, it takes forever to get their paperwork in. It's kind of a detriment if you trade for a guy based in Canada. But I think he's going to play tonight. Finally, it's a week since they've made the trade. And the game's in Canada. I don't know how that changes it. Maybe that makes it easier. But this is an interesting game. Like people that don't even thoroughly follow hockey should realize like this is going to be like when LeBron first went back to Cleveland in 2010, 2011. The Golden Knights did a sign and trade for Mitch Marner, hometown superstar from Toronto who was disgraced because his play fell off in the playoffs. They basically ran him out of town, and they absolutely hate him in Toronto now. This is going to be his first game back. Probably the Golden Knights' second best player. I think Jack Eichel's in a league of his own, but it is going to be just an insane environment there tonight. They're going to be booing him. Who knows? They might be throwing crap at him. It is going to be wild tonight. So I just thought Toronto would be so juiced up that it was worth a little bit extra, and I thought they'd get this win. But again, all the money's come in on Vegas. But yeah, if you're not that into hockey, but there might be one regular season game you want to check out, you want to see their reception to Mitch Marner going back to Toronto tonight.
Some useless Tony Kurre information. You want it?
Yes.
A team that's in the top 25 right now. They fill in number 25 right down the street from where I used to live. The Miami Redhawks have started the season. Yeah, they have started the season 19-0. That is the longest winning streak in the MAC. Outside one other team back from 2001 and 2002, which was Kent State. They actually had a longer single season winning record. Do you know who played on that Kent State basketball team?
Antonio Gates.
Yes, Antonio Gates, the Hall
I think
of
they
Famer.
went to like the Elite Eight or something too, didn't they?
They sure did. Yeah, they sure did. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you've ever been in Nick Saban's office, you'll see one of those signed basketballs from the 2001-2002 season where they ranked off. I think they won their 22 row and a row, something like that. But fun to see teams like Miami of Ohio get in there, and St. Louis Billikens as well. My wife's from St. Louis.
You got to look, and people need to understand that people love to bet top 25 and the games that are on TV and all that. But to me, there are a lot easier ways to go. Home teams in basketball, home team advantage is actually, to me, way more important than it is in college football. Even Miami, Ohio, the other day, they were like a 9-point favorite at Buffalo. And they won, I think, in like double overtime on the road at Buffalo and didn't come close to covering. I think 3 of the last 4 games they have not covered, but that when they've been on the road. And there's some teams, it kind of shocked me yesterday to see UAB just fall flat on their face against South Florida. not come close to covering when they've been pretty.
They've actually been better on the road this year than they've been at home, which is weird, really strange for them. Yeah,
they have. But seeing that, especially with South Florida coming in, because South Florida has not played well on the road, and UAB just couldn't do anything. I watched a little bit of that game, but some of these games tonight, seeing Michigan as a 15.5-point favorite at home against Ohio State, and Ohio State has played very well, but they've played better on the road as well. And when you look into, and it's something you can get into, and you look into Ken Palm, but you've got to pay for it and get through all their stuff. They have a great stat as far as home team and away teams and what kind of efficiency, because you look at, it's amazing to see the teams that their offensive efficiency drops 10 points when they go on the road. Their defensive efficiency drops 7, 8, 9 points when they go on the road. And then they're playing a team whose efficiency goes up that many points. And you have to look at all of that, because sometimes it's not just about, well, this team's number 7 in the country and this team's not ranked. And it's just like football. One of the most popular bets people do in football, if they would, it should be the most popular bet, but they don't. Let's just say Alabama is ranked and they go on the road at Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's a 2-point favorite. Your ass better bet on Oklahoma at home versus Alabama just because it's your favorite team and they're ranked. The other team isn't ranked. Because I bet Case probably has something to back this up. But unranked favorites over ranked, it seems to win 80% of the time, and the public is always on the road favorite.
Sure. Yeah, because they got that little number next to them, don't they? Yeah, that's true.
But I like Utah State. I wish it was closer to 2 on the road tonight. I like Michigan, their team total against Ohio State. Neither team has been playing great defense lately, but I can tell you yesterday and the day before, had about 30 games scoped out, looking at it, and looked at the totals. And the last 2 days in college basketball, the unders are like 42 and 18. Just the last 2 days. Now, granted, to me, it's not as much a trend sport as college football and NFL seem to be. When you're looking at it and you say, okay, all the bowl games are going under. But then, like we talked about Tuesday, then the next 16 went over. Well, you got to keep up with that. Look at the trends and maybe some Tony Curry useless stats that help you out as you go looking at that, like I just gave you. Because I have not seen all the lines. I saw the Purdue line. Like I said, they're -2, 2.5, depending on the way you go. I bought it to 2 and took Purdue, and then took a money line -35, and absolutely love them at home because they're not getting, and it's hard to say this when they're ranked, 4th. Purdue's not getting the respect that a lot of teams, or that they have been given in the past, because they don't have, Edey in the middle to be able to stand in the middle of the lane for 45 seconds and, take 9 steps and do that. But also, I did want to ask a question as we go in, and I know I'm flipping around. I apologize to our listeners and to the two of you. Have you guys seen the bullshit LeBron has come with about if he was Kobe and the love he would be getting and would be an all-star game starter if his name was Kobe Bryant, but he's not getting his roses on his last season?
Well, yeah. I think he's gotten everything that's coming his way. I think he's probably good. I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised. I thought this is the idea of him being on the starting team or whatever it is at this point in his career, I thought was a little below him. But he's just 41 years old. He's still playing lights out. He's still getting 20 and 10. So yeah, I understand that, man. You don't step on hallowed ground. And you don't bring up Kobe, period. You don't compare yourself to Kobe. I think it was he yesterday, 20 years ago, he had the 80-point game, or 10 years ago was the 80-point. I think it was the anniversary of that game was yesterday, 81-point game. And of course, we know he went for 61, 62 in his last game he played.
He also took 947 shots in the last game he played. I think in the third and fourth quarter, I don't think anybody else on the team took a shot.
Yeah. Go watch that 100-point game that Wilt had. He shot the ball like 60-something times, too. I think he went to the line 25 times. But every time he got inside the paint, they just handed him the ball because they knew he was doing something special. The thing is, he was making his shots, too. So, but then again, to get a 100-point game, you've got to shoot the ball 65 times in order to get there. So, I mean,
you got to shoot it at least 50 times because they didn't have the three-point line in 1922 when he scored that 100 points against 5-6 foot white guys.
You're right. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll do it again coming up here. K4 wins, K4 wins, K4 wins. We do it every Tuesday and Friday, 10 o'clock Central Time. Special thanks, of course, to Duncan Day, the entire crew there, Angel, and all those guys do a bang-up job at the Coast Digital Sports Network. And, of course, we get after it on our YouTube channel on Tony Kurre Radio. Get the TKR app. You can hear our shows live, watch our shows live, and, of course, wherever you get your favorite social media platforms, we're on there as well. Case, Kai, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We'll catch up next week. Have a great weekend.